Let's ride.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Fifteen minutes later.
This is an outrage, and I put this at the feet of those senators that would not vote for a federal law after George Floyd. There was no laws changed, so we should not be surprised to see this happen again. I also want to make it clear that the fact that these 5 officers are black does not make it less. In fact, to me, it is even more egregious that some black cops in a town that Martin Luther King gave his life, that's where Martin Luther King was killed, would do this is outrageous. And I would intend to stay on this with all I have and all that we can muster, because they should be better. We fought to get them on the force, to correct the force, not to do this. But I will be with this family till the end, and I will be on the Senate again. We need federal law. And let me say this. They talk about violence. There's already been violence. Otherwise, we would have a funeral Wednesday. Talk about the violence that already happened, not about some violence that may happen when people see the video. And I say to people, protest. We got a right to be angry, but don't be violent, because that will only help these cops defend themselves. They will be able to say, see, that's what we were afraid of. Look at how out of control it was. Don't help the opposition.
Much later.
Released more than 2 weeks after his death. 67 minutes of video showing what began as a traffic stop and evolved into a familiar and disturbing scene. Nichols' family and law enforcement officials calling for calm as people take to the streets. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos reporting from Memphis.
Byron, protests continue here in Memphis and in other cities across the country like New York City, Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia after the release of that body camera footage showing 29-year-old Tyre Nichols being pulled out of his vehicle and then beaten on the ground unconscious, dying in the hospital 3 days later. So far, police here have said that these protests here in Memphis have not turned violent. Ahead of the release of that body camera footage, we did hear from Tyre Nichols' family. They said if indeed people were going to go out into the street and chant Tyre's name, that they do it peacefully. Byron.
Our thanks to Stephanie. Tonight in an exclusive interview, Tyre Nichols' family reacts to release of the video. We warn you, it's hard to watch and raises more questions than it answers.
This is how legends are born.